At exactly 8:47 a.m. on June 14th, 1944, just 3 miles west of Corinth, France, a Sherman tank sat still behind a crumbling stone barn. The engine ticked softly as it cooled down, and inside, the air was thick with the smell of burnt cordite and sweat. Through the commander's periscope, Corporal James Witt spotted the tree line 240 yards away, dark and eerily silent. Little did he know in the next 8 minutes his loader would pull off something so unexpected and against the rules that it would be labeled reckless by some, brilliant by others, and studied in armored warfare courses for years to come. The Germans were out there, waiting patiently, and his crew was about to confront a challenge that no training could prepare them for. Nobody thought they'd make it through the morning. Private First Class Danny Kowalski wasn't a born soldier. He was just a grocery clerk from Pittsburgh, a skinny kid with quick hands and a knack for organizing things. Danny's dad owned a little corner store in Polish Hill, and from the age of 12, it was all in working the register, stocking shelves, and keeping everything fresh. He could spot an expired can from way down the aisle and restock faster than anyone around. At basic training, the guys teased him, calling him a grocer and laughing at how he organized his footlocker like a store display. Everything labeled and ready to go. His drill sergeant thought he was a bit obsessive, and his bunkmates found him odd. But when Danny signed up for tank duty and became a loader, everything changed. The inside of a Sherman's turret was just another cramped stockroom. The ammo racks, shelves, the shell's products. In combat, speed isn't just about strength. It's all about how smoothly you can move, knowing exactly where your hand needs to go without even looking. War has this brutal way of turning quirky skills into lifesavers. Danny's hands, those quick grocery store hands, were about to change the game on how fast a Sherman could take out a target. The hedgerows of Normandy, they were a total death trap for American tanks. Every field was a potential kill zone, surrounded by thick earthen walls and ancient plants that blocked sightlines, making every advance a risky gamble. The Germans knew this terrain like the back of their hands. They had fortified it, mined it, and set up their Pak-40 anti-tank guns in sneaky spots, almost invisible until they fired. In just 48 hours, the 2nd Armored Division had lost 17 tanks in this area alone. Bernie Shermans littered the landscape like grim reminders. The 75mm gun on a Sherman could pierce most German armor at medium range, but only if the crew survived long enough to take a shot. German crews were quicker, better trained, and more experienced. And the weather, it was no help at all. Morning fog clung to the low ground, cutting visibility to under 200 yards, and the ground was a mess from 2 days of rain. Mud sucked at tracks, slowed traverse times, made repositioning sluggish and loud. Intelligence reported at least 2 Panzer IVs and multiple infantry positions in the woods ahead. The mission was simple. Push through, secure the crossroads, support the infantry advance. Nothing survived here for long. But Hoot's crew had one secret advantage that the Germans hadn't caught on to yet. It was something so small and seemingly unimportant that it slipped right past the morning inspection. Danny Kowalski had rearranged the ammo. The German machine gun opened fire first, sending bullets ricocheting off the Sherman's armor like angry hornets. Hoot's voice crackled over the intercom. Gunner, tree line, 11 o'clock, 220 yards. Infantry behind logs. Sergeant Bill Marsh, the gunner, swung the turret left. Through his sight, he spotted the targeted dark shape lurking in the shadows. Muzzle flashes blinked like fireflies. He identified the fire, and the 75mm cannon bucked. The breech slammed back with a metallic crash that rattled their teeth. Smoke filled the turret. Through the haze, Marsh saw the hit, the log pile disintegrating, bodies tumbling. But before the smoke even cleared, DY's hands were already moving. Most loaders grabbed shells from wherever they could reach, usually the ready rack on the turret floor. A random mix of AP and H. Danny didn't. His hand went exactly 6 and left, pulled an H round from a position he'd marked that morning with a chalk line, spun it, and slammed it home. The breech closed with a clean clack. "Up!" Danny yelled. 3 seconds! Marsh blinked in surprise. Normally, reloading took 5 to 7 seconds. Sometimes even 10. Venstre said, 3 seconds. Target at 10 o'clock, 180 yards. Second position, The gun fired again, and Danny was already reaching for the next shell. The Germans didn't see that second shot coming. An H round exploded just 8 feet away, ripping through their gun shield and scattering the crew. Hoot noticed movement, more infantry scrambling through the hedgerow, trying to flank left. Gunner, hedge, 9 o'clock, 150 yards. Troops in the open. Marsh, crossed, fired. The canister round turned 30 yards of hedgerow into a kill zone. Up, Danny's voice. Steady.com, 2.5 seconds. Another target, Another shot. The rhythm was building now. Identify, traverse, fire, reload. But it wasn't just speed. Danny had done something no one in the manual had ever considered. He'd reorganized the entire ammo storage by sequence of likely use. H rounds on the left side of the ready rack, exactly where his left hand naturally fell after the breech opened. AP rounds staggered on the right. Canister rounds in the sponson rack, marked with tape positioned for a blind grab. Every motion was economical. No wasted movement, no searching, no hesitation. The fourth kill happened at 8:51 a.m. A German half-track tried to pull back across open ground, but an AP round hit the engine block. The vehicle lurched, rolled, stopped. Figures bailed out. Marsh caught them with a Koch's machine gun, but the enemy was learning. The return fire intensified. A Panzer Faust rocket screamed past the turret, missing by inches. Mud geysered up on the left side. A close call with something heavy, probably mortar fire, who had quickly backed up 20 yards, finding better cover. The fog was clearing up, which was a double-edged sword. Sure, it gave them a better view, but now the journals could see them too. Right side contact. Hold at 280 yards. Marsh's stomach twisted. A Panzer IV could punch through a Sherman's frontal armor at that range. The German tank's gun was already traversing towards them. A race now, pure and simple. Whoever fired first lived. Gunner AP. Track junction. Marsh found the target. The Panzers. Lower hole. Just visible above a berm. A small target. A hard shot. Denny's hand moved. The AP round was already coming up. He'd anticipated the call, knew what was needed before Hoot finished speaking. The shell slid home, up. Marsh fired. The round struck low, exactly where it needed to. The Panzer's track exploded in a shower of metal links. The tank slewed sideways, immobilized, its gun swinging wildly off target. Hit. Reload. Finish him. Another AP round. Danny didn't even look at the rack. Isn't new. Up the second shot, penetrated the turret ring. Smoke poured from the German tank's hatches. 5 kills in 4 minutes. But the Germans weren't done. A second Panzer appeared from the tree-line. This one moving. Turret already aligned. The first shot came before Hoot could call it. The round hit the Sherman's right track assembly. The tank lurched violently. Inside, the crew was thrown against their stations. Hoot's head cracked against the periscope mount. Blood ran down his temple. We're tracked. Driver, rock us. Give Marsh an angle. The driver gunned the engine, spinning the left track, pivoting the disabled Sherman. The German tank was reloading way too slowly. Marsh moved right hard. Found the Panzer in his sight. 240 yards. Moving target, hold down behind a rise. Steady, steady. Danny already had the AP round in his hands, waiting, watching the breach. Ready? The German fired again. The round hit the turret's side armor, a glancing blow that screamed off into the morning air, leaving a deep gouge, but no penetration. Luck. Firemarsch's shot caught the Panzer in the driver's viewport. The tank jerked to a halt, stopped, burning. 6 kills. DY's hands shook, not from fear, but from the rush. Grab, spin, load. His shoulders burned, and his back screamed. The turret felt like a furnace, with the temperature soaring past 110 from the gun's heat. But he didn't stop. Movement infantry. Multiple contacts. 100 yards. Pushing through the smoke. Air rounds now 3. in a row. Danny grabbed them without even looking, muscle memory kicking in. Each shot pushed back the advancing Germans, breaking their assault. Hoot counted the magazines. "We're at 60% ammo. Watch your calls." But the Germans weren't retreating. They were regrouping. Somewhere in that tree line, a sharp mind was pulling the strings. Someone who just witnessed 2 panzers go down and was now plotting something even more sinister. And then, everything went sideways. Danny reached for the next AP round, his muscle memory guiding him to the right rack. But his fingers met only empty air. He blinked, looked down, and realized the rack was bare. He had burned through the ready ammo way faster than he thought. The remaining AP rounds were tucked away in the awkward sponson racks, forcing him to crouch and blindly reach past the turret basket to grab shells from storage bins meant for bulk, not combat speed. His stomach sank. "Up," he called out, trying to buy time. But there was no shell in the breach. Marsh glanced back, saw Danny's face, and understood instantly. "Hoot, we're out of ready AP. We've got to reload from the sponson." Hoot's voice remained steady, but there was a tense edge to it. It was enough time for a German tank crew to fire twice. 8 seconds meant death. If something armored showed up in that tree line, and something was definitely coming. Through the smoke and clearing fog, a 3rd Panzer foraged forward. Painted in ambush camouflage, it moved slowly, deliberately, with the commander visible in the cupola, scanning for targets. Contact. Panzer, straight ahead. 200 yards out, Danny was already on the move, dropping to his knees and digging into the sponson, searching for the AP rounds he had stashed there. He grabbed one, feeling its weight and awkwardness from this position. He lifted it, spun around, and rammed it home. In just 7 seconds, Marsh fired. The shot went wide, just grazing the Panzer's fender. The German tank halted, its gun now zeroing in on them. Steady, patient, professional. Danny's hands dove back into the sponson. This was bad. Danny didn't think a Hust Mobet. His right hand found an AP round, yanked it up, loaded up. Marsh fired. The Panzer's turret rang like a bell. Penetration. The German tank shuddered. Stopped. Targets to the left, about 80 yards away. Danny's hand went low. Grabbed H from the sponson without looking. "Load it up." The gun barked. Figures scattered dot another group. Same area. He loaded. A Kuba wagon tried to escape across the field, but fired. The vehicle disintegrated. 3 Germans broke from cover running. Marsh switched to coax. Cut him down. Right flank, 120 yards. "Fire up, HE." DY's world shrank to just movement. Grab, spin, load. Grab, spin, load. His hands were automatic now. His breath came in short gasps. Sweat poured down his face, stinging his eyes. Another target. Another killer. Rhythm was brutal, unyielding. Hoot called out targets. Marsh kept firing, and Danny loaded the next round. 10 kills, 11-12. The tree line was thinning. The Germans were finally pulling back, smoke hanging over the field like a ghostly shroud. Burning vehicles, scattered equipment, bodies. The Sherman's gun was glowing red at the mouth break. Then Hoot's voice cut through sharp. "Looks like we've lost contact. Time to stop firing." Danny collapsed against the turret wall, gasping. His arms felt like lead. But it wasn't over. 30 seconds of silence, then Hoot's voice, quiet and tense. "Something's wrong." They pulled back to clean, too organized. Marsh scanned through his sight. Nothing moved in the tree line. No muscle flashes, no engine sounds, just smoke and stillness. "Maybe they're done," Danny whispered, hopeful. "No." Hoot's voice was cold. "Someone smart is out there watching us, waiting for us to move." And he was right. 340 yards out, concealed in a drainage ditch behind the burned-out Kubel wagon, a German tank commander named Oberlieutenant Klaus Ritter lay perfectly still. He'd watched the entire engagement through binoculars, watched the American Sherman tear through his unit with impossible speed, watched his comrades die. He'd counted the shots, noted the rate of fire, calculated the ammo expenditure. The Americans had to be low. Had to be. His Panzer IV sat 60 yards behind him. Hold down in a depression. Engine idling low, nearly silent. His crew knew the drill. Patience. Let the enemy think it's over. Let them relax. Let them start moving. Tin killed him. Ritter watched the Sherman through his binoculars. The commander's hatch was still closed. Smart dot. The tank wasn't moving, but they'd have to move eventually. Their track was damaged. They'd need recovery. They'd need to reposition, and when they did, he'd be waiting. Inside the Sherman, Witt made his decision. Driver, back us up slow. 10 yards. Get us behind that barn wall. The engine revved. The left track spun. The Sherman began to pivot. Ritter grinned. Gunner, target at 340. Lead him. The Panzer's gun moved slowly, precisely. Hoot spotted something in his periscope. His blood ran cold. Contact, Panzer. Concealed position. 340 yards. Traverse right. Marsh swung the gun. Found nothing. I don't see him. Ditch behind the wreck. Danny's hand was already moving. AP round coming up from the sponson. But his arms were exhausted. The shell slipped. He caught it, loaded it, fumbled up. 4 seconds. Too slow. Both guns fired simultaneously. Section 9. Second climax. The German round hit first. Struck the Sherman's upper glacis at a shallow angle. Deflected upward. Screamed over the turret by inches. The impact rocked the tank violently. Hoot's helmet cracked against the hatch rim. Marsh's round hit low. Struck the berm in front of Ritter's Panzer. Showered it with dirt and debris, but didn't penetrate. Reload Danny grabbed another AP round. His hands were cramping. The shell felt twice as heavy. He muscled it into the reach up. The German Panzer was reversing now, trying to back into deeper cover. Ritter knew he'd missed his chance. His crew was scrambling. Marsh fired, leading the target, and squeezed to the trigger. The round hit the German tank just as it was backing up. It punched through the thinner side, breaching the engine compartment. Flames erupted, and the Panzer lurched to a stop. 3 figures jumped out, Rider among them, stumbling with his uniform on fire. Marsh tracked their escape with the coax, his finger hovering over the trigger. "Let them go," Hoot said softly. The Germans vanished into the trees. Silence settled in. Real silence. This time, Danny slumped against the turret wall, chest heaving, his hands bleeding from cuts made by shell casings and sharp metal edges. He hadn't noticed until now. 13 kills, 1 damaged Sherman, 0 casualties. Hoot keyed the radio. Ironside says this is Ironside 22. Contact, broke in, position, secure, requesting recovery vehicle for track repair. Over. The response crackled back. Copy 22 recovery. En route, what's your status? Hoot looked at his crew, looked at Danny, who was still trembling, looked at the gun, still smoking. Operational. Only then did Danny lower his head. His arms hung useless at his sides. The adrenaline was draining away now, leaving behind pure exhaustion. The turrets smelled like burnt powder, hot metal, and sweat. Spent shell casings littered the floor. He counted them without meaning to. 37. Marsh cracked the loader's hatch. 37 rounds in just under 12 minutes. Cool and sweet. "You good," Danny nodded, gulping it down. Fresh air flooded in. I couldn't say a word yet. The recovery vehicle showed up 40 minutes later. A maintenance sergeant hopped onto the Sherman, checked out the damaged track, and whistled softly. "You guys got lucky. Just another inch, and you would have lost the whole drive sprocket." Captain Breener, our company commander, arrived an hour later. He walked the battlefield with Witt, counting the wrecks, the bodies, and all the evidence. 3 Panzers, 2 half-tracks, 1 Kubo wagon, and several destroyed infantry positions. He climbed up on the Sherman's hull, looked at Danny through the open hatch. "You're the loader?" "Yes, sir." "How many rounds did you load into this gun?" 37, sir." Brina glanced at his watch, did a quick calculation, and raised his eyebrows. "That's not possible," he said. "The manual says." "I know what the manual says," Sir Hoot replied, his voice steady. He had rearranged the ammo racks by hand this morning without asking for permission. Brina stared at Danny for a moment, then smiled. "Show me." What Danny Kowalski did that morning changed American armor doctrine forever. Just 3 weeks later, his unconventional ammo arrangement was being tested at the Ordnance Department's proving grounds in Aberdeen. Within 6 months, it became official doctrine, taught to every loader in tank schools from Fort Knox to Fort Benning. They called it the Kowalski load, though Danny wasn't a fan of the name. By reorganizing ammunition based on mission probability and hand path efficiency, he cut average reload times from 6.2 seconds to 3.8 seconds across the armored force. That might seem like just 2 seconds, but in tank combat, those 2 seconds could mean the difference between firing first or getting hit, between scoring 13 kills or becoming kill number 14. Even today, modern armor crews still train using variations of his technique. The principle remains the same: economy of motion, predictive positioning, muscle memory over conscious thought. Danny made it through the war, traveling across France, Belgium, and into Germany. He earned the Silver Star for his bravery near quarantine, but he hardly ever wore it. After the war, he returned to Pittsburgh, reopened his dad's grocery store, and raised 3 kids, rarely mentioning his past. Yet, sometimes late at night, his hands would twitch in his sleep, reaching and loading imaginary shells that were no longer there. History remembers his courage, even if he wishes to forget. The Sherman tank that carried him that day, number 2031 to 489, now rests in the National Armor and Cavalry Museum at Fort Moore, Georgia. The turret still bears the scorch marks, the ammo racks still show his chalk marks, and every loader who walks past it knows the name Kowalski.